Hello everybody, and welcome back to the LJL Officially Unofficial cast. I am still hosting. I am your host, Alex, otherwise known as Sexy Goodbye Masked Swan on the internet. Of course, I'm joined by the spectacular duo, which also happen to be attractive men as well. I know, 2 for 1.
You're flattering me.
I mean, I have to bring you guys out of the dungeon for the casting, so I can at least compliment you both. That's obviously.
What day is it?
That's obviously it's LJL Week 1 day.
It's LJL day. That's it.
That's why we're here, gentlemen. You are the Have Good
we
Brother
count
duo,
down by LJL weeks.
and we will be covering Game 6 of Week 1 of this lovely first week.
Seven?
Week 6.
Game 7.
Game 6. Game 6? Game 7? No,
7.
this is game. Yes, Game 7.
It'll be Game
yes,
7.
Yes.
We've done
yes.
well.
I can't count. Counting's hard. It's not like I played a game where I literally had to count for a living. No. With that all said, gentlemen, we're going to be seeing DFM face off against the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks. Hawks will be on Blue's side, and this, well, it's almost like going from a blast from the past with the Hawks, because we are seeing 3 former members of USG team up again, with having Pooh and Honey alongside them to face off against DFM. Who's your favourite going into this matchup?
What do you think, Sam?
I think it probably still has to be DFM.
Sure.
I think we saw that they
They
tried
are reigning
something with it.
champions.
Yeah, and we saw what they tried to do with the draft. I think it was a little bit
Cute.
harder to execute in this
okay.
meta than perhaps it would have been in previous ones. And we'll have to see whether that's a misread on them from the meta point of view, or whether Sengoku Gaming just outplayed them this time around. Probably a bit of both.
Could have been. Go on, Nightmare. I can see you're
mean,
jumping at
this
the
is-
opportunity.
This is the first place team versus the last place team for spring. You cannot predict this any other way. Not realistically, right? DFM are now angry. They just lost to their contenders.
Can't have that.
We cannot be having that.
We
there
have
will be
seen
no
that.
there will be no 9-0 DFM this split. There will be none. It's been quashed right from the outset.
But
So
Sengoku
Hawks-
could do it.
Sengoku might be able to, but it won't be DFM, and that's why they'll be angry.
Mm.
So for me, Hawks are you scared?
So,
Very scared.
as we said earlier, we have now got 3 former members of USG teaming up in their original roles. We have Arumik in the top lane, Tasso in the jungle, Dasher in the mid lane, no Ramune in the mid lane at the moment. He's a substitute now. This is definitely going to be an exciting matchup. And gentlemen, where are your expectations going into this game? Where do you think the match is really going to be decided and played and everything else?
I think it is a big thing for the Hawks to move Dasher back to the mid lane. He was stellar for USG in 2019. He was really, really good.
Yeah.
He was, I think he was the mid lane player of the split, basically, for
more
the
player of the week,
LJL. You know, compared
he's
to
the
the rest,
mid laner,
the rest of the roles were all DFM. It was Dasher in the mid lane for USG, and I think he has to be their shining light. He's moving back in to try and bring some life back to this roster. I'm kind of curious to see how he does going back to his old role.
I mean, this is Dasher. 2019 Dasher was the Dasher that outbeat Luna, well, now known as Arya, as well as Syros in that mid lane for that. So that is some pretty big deal. What Initial has just said. Nymera, where are you interested to watch this game, though? What do you think it's going to develop? Or do you just think it's going to be a DFM angry stomp?
I think it probably is going to be a DFM angry stomp.
Okay.
But where is it going to happen from? I think that DFM need to have a more stable mid lane.
Okay.
But then again, also Arumik coming in for the first time in a while versus Ebby, who just had a bit of a blunted showing on a very strong pick in the Wukong.
Yes.
I am looking for solo lanes to come out swinging, and I would like to see strong laning phase. And that's going to be helped by draft, but that's the main thing which I need to see, strong laning phase.
That is actually a really good point that you just hit on, Nymera. The draft. We saw the Hawks in the first few weeks of the spring split, going all the way back to the original spring split. Their draft was actually pretty solid. But moving forward throughout those weeks, a lot of the teams started to figure out how they drafted. A lot of the cracks became very obvious. And DFM was a team that, well, they're always solid. And they happen to play against potentially the other top team at the moment in the LJL. Where does that sit for the Hawks, especially in that bot lane? especially when it comes to the drafting, gentlemen. I'm just concerned for the Hawks, and I was a Hawks supporter from the beginning. So where do you think about this? Go on, initialize. You keep giving an eyeball over and wanting it. I can see it.
So we have two different kind of bot lane experiences with the Honey. We've got Honey, I shrunk the enemy health bars. We've got Honey, I no longer have a health bar, and it really depends on whether the Hawks are on the front foot or on the back foot. Because Honey on the back foot just looks lost. And DFM know how to play pressure lanes. They do like their double range bot lanes where they do run those enchanted supports. And I fear for Honey if he is kind of put under the quash.
Okay. And Nightmare, where do you think drafting is going to go, though, against this DFM Sengoku lineup? Do we think the Hawks are going to have a solid draft? Do we think they've had some time to prepare, or do we think it's
so hard to say because Honey played so much Misfortune that I'm not really sure how much they're going to be prioritizing towards bot lane. We will find out very shortly, though.
We will indeed find out very shortly, as we've just gone into pick and ban phase. So good luck to both these teams, and gentlemen, take it away.
See you in a bit, Lexi.
Well, we're back for the Hawks' first game of the summer split. It's going to be those guys, of course, on the blue side this time around, which means it's Aramik in the top lane, Tussle in the jungle, returning to the mid lane, it'll be ex-USG, now Hawks Dasher, and Honey and Pooh, the 100-acre bot lane, around and about as well.
Once again on the red side for today, it will be reigning champions, but now stung a little bit. Detonation FocusMe. It's Ebby, Steel, Siros, Utapon, and Gang.
It is, and behold the bands Karma, Karma and Yumi. I apologize. There we go. I can pronounce that Catnet champion's name. Taken off the table by the Hawks. It'll be Varus and Syndra removed by Detonation Focus.
Okay, so we won't have to find out what Honey looks like on Varus because that has been banned away. I think everyone will be banning that. You can't give that away. And for the first time in the games we have covered today, it will be the Ezreal banned. Of course, Sengoku played 2 games of that Ezreal. It's a very strong champion, allows you to do so many things into the mid and late game, and is so hard to beat in lane 2. You can't deny him farm very easily. Syndra also being banned away by DFM. They really don't want that to be first picks or rotationed on that 1, 2, 3 picks.
They really don't. DFM got one last ban. What do they go towards? They go towards the Aphelios. Honey has gone towards that. Remember, of course, Volibear is available on this pack. It's the rework, but they go for the set first pick. Keeps it away from Ebby. It's also just super flexible, so it doesn't give away too much as a first pick.
We've seen Set Jungle finally make its way into the LEC as well. We saw that a couple of times yesterday. And it is that flex pick. Top, mid, support, jungle, ever but bot lane. DFM hovering over that Misfortune.
Take it away.
I mean, there is no Varus. There's no Ezreal, no Aphelios. This is the last... well, I mean, unless you want to play Kalista.
Kalista, I suppose,
the
is
last
that option,
priority bot laner.
See what DFM go towards. Perhaps a Nautilus might not be a bad idea. It's another clean bit of engage for them. It pairs up well with the Misfortune. They've still got some options here. Wukong, I suppose, could be another pickup.
Yeah, could be. Stuff like, what else is there? Ornn, also available.
Yeah, of course.
Pretty okay
we know Ebby's a fantastic Ornn player as well.
And the Graves.
Of course, Graves.
It's like, what are the
we
blanked
blanked on a little bit there, and Graves is so damn strong. We saw they tried something a little different in the last game, but Sengoku Gaming went with the tried and true, the meta of the current moment. And they went towards the Graves. DFM looking to return that, but Kai'Sa is the lock-in for the Hawks alongside a Wukong. That's a hell of a lot of dive.
Okay, so that is set Kai'Sa bot lane probably. Yep. Really good setup. You have the CC there. You can brawl very well. I'd like to see a Nautilus brought in here from DFM. I think just lock that in, or Leona. Something to put alongside that MF. Make sure you don't have those supports banned away from you. Secure that strong lane. We have seen Honey on Kai'Sa a bit when the MF's been taken away. Actually, that has been his go-to.
Well,
no supports though. It's going to be the Ziggs locked in for Seros.
Yeah, and that's a lot of tower pressure in terms of between Misfortune of Graves and Ziggs. If they ever get up to a tower, it will disappear. And it's also just a bit of range. Set and Wukong need to be able to get to you to do their damage, and Ziggs being able to sit a little ways away is no bad thing.
No, it isn't indeed. So, was this Xerath last time? Has that semi-global right to the arcane. And we know what the Mega Inferno Bomb does as well. Xerath's more famous for Ziggs than Xerath. Does like both of those champions. Wave clear mids.
You know what you can't give Dash as well?
Lucian.
It's never, ever going to be available for that man.
I've forgotten about it.
Banned.
I've taken like 2 months off from casting the Hawks. They didn't make it into playoffs. I just forgot that Lucian is permabanned versus the Hawks.
Just don't give Lucian to Dasher. He does unspeakable things with it. Renekton's banned away. Ebby plays that super well. It's pressure in lane. It's a tank in the front lane. Front line. There we go.
Yeah.
The front lane is a lane that does not exist as yet.
We have changed the geometry of Summoner's Rift. There is a lane in the front of the map.
Yeah, it's been rotated 90 degrees, and now there is a front, middle, and back lane.
I think DFM would really like an on right here.
Yes,
I agree.
You
something
need
with
a bit of front line.
What? Something with a bit of front line. Something with a bit of disengage and engage options as well. They just need a little bit of CC. Something to set up.
Maokai wouldn't be awful here either.
It wouldn't be awful as well. Also gives you that good disengage with the Maokai, the Nature's Grasp too. That's another option there. The Ornn now being banned away. That might be the. That's it there.
Baby, it looks like Bard's gonna be up and available. It's so strong, ladies and gents, right now. That damage of the empowered auto attack with the meeps is absolutely ridiculous.
If I was a sheep, I would I'd really not like this. I'd call it Bard. It's a Bard draft. Like bad, but okay, fine. I was trying to make a joke there. Anyway,
I'm staring at you dead. I am dead inside.
I believe it's the men who stare at goats, not the men who stare at sheep. Anyway,
Nidalee locked in. Perhaps to add into your...
Okay, let's move on very quickly. Nidalee locked in for the Hawks. This is... it's a pick which is
a Dasher special.
Dasher was playing earlier in the top lane.
Well, there it is.
Bringing it back into the mid lane, presumably.
Yeah, so that's looking like we're going to have Nidalee jungle. It's that other one of those hyper-damaging carry junglers that tends to go opposite the Graves. We've seen a lot of it across a number of regions. It'll be probably the Aurelia mid, the Wukong top. Likely means it will be the set support, and DFM are thinking about going towards this Hecarim. We've seen it the once already from Cog. Didn't work out that well for him, but it feels like something that Ebby should play pretty well. But we said that about the Wukong.
But the thing about this Hecarim in this game compared to the game we saw it from Rascal Jester is that much harder to gank this in the early game. Nidalee needs the setup, and Wukong does not bring that. This is why it's not
until level 6.
Well, this is why it's not the Renekton and Elise combo, right?
Yeah.
It's not that kind of Wukong substitute in for that, because you don't have that early CC. It's not easy to set up those ganks early into the game. You're not as lane dominant. And hopefully this means we might see a Hecarim have more impacts into those first fights in the game.
Yeah, and there is a lot of long-range damage again from the likes of DFM. Bullet Time, Mega Inferno Bomb, collateral damage will do a lot of AoE damage in a team fight. Throw in, why don't you, a Cosmic Binding. Throw in, why don't you, an Onslaught of Shadows with an Ignite on it. And I can see what DFM are aiming for. Hawks, though, that's a lot of highlight reel looking champions there to me.
It's also a lot of very close range champions when they want to dive in. And if you dive in and there's an Onslaught of Shadows coming through, the counter engage is hilariously strong. If you ever clump up and you don't stick the engage, much like we saw earlier in the day as well from Rascal Jesters with the Hecarim on their side at that time, things could go very, very badly wrong.
Okay. We've seen both drafts. We've seen what DFM are doing. It's different from their last composition in a lot of ways. They've gone towards the Graves this time, a bit more consistent damage, less early game spiking than the Pantheon. What are you thinking in terms of these drafts? So, of course, all the Hawks have gone for that super sort of close range, dive in your face, Aurelia, Nidalee, Kai'Sa, Set, Wukong. Where are you at with those?
I need to see Steel shield his lanes very well.
Okay.
Aurelia can set up well for the Nidalee. Has the stun, has the ultimate.
Versus the Ziggs as well. Ziggs could be in trouble.
And even if you use your satchel well as Ziggs, there is a chance that you cannot disengage from the Aurelia, because if minions are low HP, dash back to the minion, dash back onto you, especially if the stun lands. Saros needs to be very careful the way he plays this lane. It is very much a kill pressure lane. And we know Dasher is willing to go for those 1v1s on that champion. I also need to see something to shut down this Hecarim from the side of the Hawks, because Hecarim does beat Wukong in lane. Hecarim is actually a very strong laning champion if he's allowed to get access to the wave. W gives him the sustain if he manages to keep up that Q passive as well. The damage off of that is really high in continued combat. So Hecarim does well in the isolated 1v1. Just need to see that shielded a bit or shut down a bit, depending on who you want to win.
Yes, that's exactly it. The helicopter Q is always good fun. And also, speaking of setup, Flash Facebreaker set up in that bot lane. Flash Facebreaker with a Nidalee coming in could definitely do a lot of work versus some pretty squishy champions for DFM. Of course, they do have that range advantage, and that's always nice for them, and they do like to play around that. I already spoke about how I much prefer Honey on a front foot. I'll have to see how this one goes for sure.
Yes, there's something to be said about that. Something which we'll keep on the back foot, though, is that Tempered Fate from the Bard. That is the big setup for DFM.
Yes.
We saw what Lamau can do on JDG. Support there over in the reigning LPL champions. Bard has a lot of setup potential.
Yes.
His team fighting upper ceiling is
almost
unlimited. If you set up for a Hecarim Ziggs Graves combo with an MF over it as well, that's huge amounts of damage that can be put out.
Yeah, the LPL is hugely prioritizing at the minute. That Bard is a nasty champion right now. Does really, really good work. Just a lot of damage, a lot of mobility. The Tempered Fate's great. Yeah, strong champion, assuming he can survive.
I'm getting hungry. I can spell the toast. We're not loading into game anytime soon.
No, exactly. We saw the little Windows background come up from the LJL, and welcome to remote broadcasting, especially from one of our minor regions.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
No,
I was expecting you to go somewhere with that, but
no, I was just saying. Oh, I'm hungry. It smells like toast. Lag.
It's true. It's amazing. I wouldn't mind some toast right now. Actually,
I didn't eat breakfast.
I was really foolish. But there we go. We're here.
We'll see who's eating who for breakfast here on the Rift. There are lots of ways these lanes can go. As you said, the setup with the set, particularly the setup in the bot lane for Nidalee is going to be very important.
Yeah, will be.
I'm looking to see how Gang can disengage that lane with the Magical Journey.
Yep.
Because that's the way you get out of a lot of ganks. You end up standing close to walls and you just try and run away when someone runs up with the Nidalee close by.
I mean, I've also got to be a bit afraid if the Hawks don't get anything done in the early game, that the lanes just go as is, DFM win out as a result of that, I feel.
There's a burden of execution on DFM. So and we trust DFM to execute, although I mean in last game versus Sengoku did not work out that way.
Yeah.
And
we covered some of why that is as well, like great play from Blank and Period.
Yeah, exactly. However, we expect the best out of DFM.
We do.
And as much as I predicted Sengoku to win last split from the pre-split, I thought, they'd end up getting their act together. DFM looked very strong in the finals. However, one thing we said in our recent podcast, that's a plug, you should go watch it.
Number one, we've done one plug. What are we doing?
All right. I cannot accept complacency from DFM because we need to see them perform very well this split and overcome some stiff competition to really kind of win our hearts and kind of prove to us that they can finally do something on the international stage. Because that's where they're looking, realistically. And Sengoku are looking there too, in the same kind of ways, right? And V3 and some of the other teams in here as well. But DFM, if they are complacent, then we have strong words for them. Don't rest on your laurels. The job's not half done yet.
Completely agree. To flip the focus a little bit, though, I kind of do want to touch on the Hawks. This is a reset. They've changed their roster around. Ramone, that kind of storied god of the mid lane for the LJL, has been put back into a substitute role. He's not on the roster anymore. It's Dasher back in the mid lane. And this is a chance for the Hawks to restart. Start fresh. It's summer split. They're back to that 0-0 scoreline. And if they want to recover some of their pride, recover some of those pre-split inklings of greatness from that squad, this is the chance to do it. DFM are wounded. We've seen that perhaps they were a little bit off on that first game. Didn't quite have the right idea about how to play with this meta as at least first. This draft, I grant you, looked a little bit more in keeping from what we were perhaps thinking of the meta. But DFM are wounded. Is this an option? Is this a chance? What an opportunity for the Hawks, perhaps.
So it looks like it's a game pause just on stream. That's come from the main stream there as well. It is a tradition we have here when the three of us are sat here as well. We normally invite the person, whoever's backstage, to come have a chat with us about whatever's gone on in draft, whatever's gone on we've been talking about as well. So Lexi, the Hawks, they have themselves
a
unique draft.
Yes, they do.
What are your first thoughts?
Well, it's a bit all over the place. I'm not sold on this whole Hecarim thing. I know it's a thing, but I'm not sold on the Hecarim thing, especially when it's against a Wukong, because I just think Wukong's mid to late game is just so strong at the moment. So I kind of like the idea that the Hawks have a diving composition. They fully invested on this. They brought all the stock for it, which I can appreciate a lot for it. Like, that's a very aggressive line to take, and I think it offers a lot of opportunities, especially with a set ult, because you could just pile drive, set ult, works flawlessly if they get the perfect lineup, though they have to be talking, communicating flawlessly. which we've not seen always be the case for the Hawks, right, gentlemen?
I mean, I remember a very awkward game for the Hawks versus Sengoku in week 7 or week 6. I think it's week 6. They played like Akali Galio Taric, where like you have the Akali diving in with the Taric ult, so she's invulnerable. She does all the damage, and the Galio ult's there. And like that's very, that's very straightforward. You know exactly what you're doing, and they completely fluffed it. And now I look at this comp and I'm like, well, if it's going to work out, they need to have improved. So I'm looking for something better from them.
That feels like true of the Hawks in general at the minute. If it's going to work out at all, they need to have improved.
They do. And like, this is definitely an opportunity for them to prove that they have improved on this. They've trying a different lineup. Dasher has been moved from that top lane down to that mid lane. A person that I was defending all of Summer Split, saying, no, you two are both not seeing the genius that I truly believe in Dasher. Go listen to our podcast episodes. You'll hear some interesting conversations about that. And me going, no, I believe. And then them promptly losing again. And I go, no, yeah, it wasn't fun to be a Hawks believer going into the first season. But who knows? We're saying there's a chance. And
so you're saying there's a chance. Yeah.
We're saying there's a chance. I mean, seeing that these teams have drafted fully and that we've seen the pick and ban phase, I am interested to see, though, how DFM pick themselves up, because this wasn't quite the draft I was expecting from them. From when we normally see an angry DFM, we normally see them look to normally go hyper mega carry and just kind of steamroll the game in about 25-30 minutes. They have got that Ziggs on Syros, but that's the only
one of his classics. Yeah.
Exactly, but that's the only really big power pick I was expecting. That came from DFM. I'm a little bit surprised by their draft. I was expecting Ebi to be on that Wukong to run it back, to really just be like aggressive, win game, win lane.
I mean, I have some faith in the fact that Steel has picked up Graves, and I know Steel is a very good Graves player.
Sure.
We know Graves is just very good at the minute. It's into the kind of matchup of the moment, the Graves in Italy, but I do probably favour Graves generally. I think he's just really strong right now, frankly. And I think Steel on that champion, something to keep an eye on. So I think it's good that DFM did pick that up.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
I think it's
sorry, go for it. Okay, so I will take the lead as I am host, and I will go no. I offer it, and you go no back, and I will take it. We're not so for anyone watching and listening out there, we don't actually know why we're on a game pause. The information that has been given is only in Japanese, and we do not speak or understand much of any. Yes, don't ask how the
kanji is pretty poor.
Yeah, it's not the greatest over on our end. Initialize is our in-house resident speaker translator,
Probably
and
not a good look, really.
it's not the greatest look. And this is a gentleman that lived over in Japan. That's why all of the pressure is bestowed upon him, rather than me and Nymera, who just get to kind of sit back and say, do it.
I'm here to know about the game, that's it.
And I'm here to just rip on both of you, so that's what we do.
Quite a lot of rip on, so yeah.
I mean,
give you an easy job.
It's for the moment, for the time being, it looks like the official cast has now gone into covering the patch, because this might be a long pause we're going to be on. So we can keep talking about the patch, or we can talk about the game. Gentlemen, what do you want to do, as this pause might be going on a bit longer for us?
I mean, I don't mind talking about a little bit about meta. I mean,
go for it, man.
Honestly, it feels like so much of it is about jungle ADC. Just feels like everything's jungle ADC. Like, we're seeing 3-4 AD carry bans each game. I am surprised we haven't seen any Callista. I mean, of course, we haven't covered the first 4 games yet. I haven't seen the drafts for those.
Again, we know Gango loves that.
Yeah, exactly, right? I look at Callista, I'm like, okay, so you get priority in pretty much every lane. I'm trying to think if there's anyone who particularly...
Maybe Varus?
Maybe Varus. And even then, Varus can suffer versus Callista.
There's just play options.
Exactly. So Callista, not been picked up at all. We know that some of these players play it, so maybe that's something which I'd like to see. And then, like, jungle has all of these crazy carry potential too. Like, so for me, it's those 2 roles which is like, focus on them. That's what you have to draft around.
Okay, so if we're saying that jungle is the spot in which you have to think about with the AD carry, because obviously that Callista, we saw 3 bans, Ezreal, Varus, Aphelios.
Aphelios. And then Misfortune was first rotation by the DFM.
To take away from Honey, which was a really interesting spot. As you said earlier, Nymera, most of the games that we saw the Hawks play, Honey played that Misfortune, and that was taken away. And this is the first time we're really seeing Honey play a different champion in and of itself. But gentlemen, I have good news. The game is starting. The pause has
Praise.
finished. We are on to the Rift. Gentlemen, good luck in casting and good luck to both the teams.
Well, thank you again, Maswan, for your thoughts and company. It's always appreciated having you back on the cast for a bit here. But we have more important matters to talk about right now. We've
What's
got
more
the
important?
Hawks versus DetonatioN FocusMe. DFM in a bit of a shock. First loss to Sengoku Gaming, who came out with a brutal death stance, will never die comp. This time around, though, the Hawks have gone for, we're just going to dive you. Nidalee going to dive in, Irelia's going to dive in, Kai's going to press R, Set's going to press R, Wukong's going to press R. They're all going to pile in on some people. It's DFM looking to play a little bit different, a bit more of a burst, a bit more, I won't say strictly back to front, but a little bit more consistent damage, perhaps.
Both teams really want to set up for massive wombos with dive.
Oh, yeah.
Both teams do.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, Hecarim does do the dive thing.
Hecarim dives. Graves really likes to get stuck into the meat of it as well. But if any CC lands from Hawks, you're going to have Nidalee Spears and Kai'Sa, Wukong, and Set just kind of piling in there. So, I've used this phrase so much today, but it's about sticking the landing. If you're going to go for a fight, you cannot half-ass it. You just can't. You can poke out a bit with DFM, but because there are so many short-range characters, obviously discounting the Misfortune and the Ziggs, right? If you commit to a fight, you better make sure you got a way out, or you're going to finish off that fight.
Yep. We saw the early ward from Utapon and gang there. They went over and put that onto the red buff. They know where Tussle is starting. And of course, it's worth pointing out, Gang has got himself the Astro Bard skin. I've not seen it yet. It's super cool.
I've seen it in TFT.
I've just not seen it yet. It's super cool. I like it.
There's little green meep aliens.
We
can see what happens. Gang just walks up and slaps with the meeps.
Yep.
Just like throws his minions at them.
And it turns out Bard and Misfortune early on in lane are pretty strong. Nightmare, do you know that?
Sure. I mean, this lane's going to suffer a little bit up until Kai'Sa gets to that.
Level 2.
Didn't get the Q reset, though.
Didn't get the Q reset, and we're going to see a bit of a trade back. The satchel used there by Seros to pull himself back under Tad. Takes a bit of damage, but it's relatively even thus far. But we see the kind of aggression already out of Dasher.
Oh, no, I mean, if that Q kills a minion, that's like an exhaust out of Seros, almost certainly.
Yeah.
The thing about Irelia, I used to play a lot of this champion. There's you kind of had to for a certain period of time because she was just that strong. If you stack up your Q and you get your passive stacked up, you can see it's currently mostly stacked there as well. If you land your double Q reset and stuff like that, it does a lot of damage.
It really does. And Aurelia likes to hold waves in particular positions, doesn't she, Nightmare?
Does. Much like a LeBlanc, much like a Fizz, much like whatever. We're going to stop talking about that. That was more important.
Here we go. Tussle finds himself a very angry Graves who's shunting forwards, doing a lot of damage, but Tussle was going to go see if he can find a reset anyway. Probably means that Steel gets a free double Scuttle Crab if he's quick on these. Ebby trading with Aramik, but that goes the way of the Hecarim pretty decisively.
And this is the thing, right? I mean, we can see it in Korean solo queue up in doing some practice casts over some of the spectating functions from OPGG and stuff like that in high Korean solo queue. Hecarim top is such a turret shot taken by Ebby. The trading potential of Hecarim in lane is very, very high. You have ridiculous consistent damage from your Q. When you get your Triforce as well, you get a lot of different Sheen procs. Stun landing from Dasher, but you're talking about waves being held in a certain position from Aurelia. It just allows you to dash forward and play as long a lane as you can in the mid lane. Graves comes in, pushes in, and breaks that freeze, and just to give Seros a bit of safety.
It does indeed, and a little bit of a shunt in from here as Gang's looking for fine Tussle.
It is a double scald, you're right. I didn't think that was going to be a thing. It looked like Nidalee stopped off for the Krug camp, didn't want to go into River when there was no priority in the bot lane.
Gang was there as well, but Utapon, of course, is alone. Here the Ignite's coming down. Utapon does flash away because Pooh has used that knuckle down to get back. It'll trade some damage back, but the flash out for the Ignite is an easy win there for Hawks, punishing the roam of the Bard.
I didn't see, but does Pooh not have Nimbus Cloak? So I reckon if he did, he might have been able to close that distance there. Obviously, we don't have local sound on because we can't silence the Japanese cast as much as they have lovely voices. It kind of interrupts our own business in doing so. So I didn't actually hear whether the Nimbus Cloak sound effect went off because that's one of the really big things about
it is
set anywhere really is that if you have Nimbus Cloak and then you also Hex Flash, you come out of the bush at very high speeds.
You do indeed, and high speed Set is a terrifying existence in general. He runs Phase Rush. He'll probably go for Dead Man's Blade at some point as well. He's gonna might run Nimbus Cloak.
Oh, look at that zoning. Well, and look at the zoning in the bot lane too. Zoning on both sides of the map. DFM trying to
block the W as well, so you can't get the minions. That's rude.
You normally do that for a cannon minion. Sometimes it's not so efficient to do that for like a ranged creep or something with the amount of gold coming in there. But doing it for a cannon minion, well worth.
Exactly, and Poo takes himself a bit of a cosmic binding there. It's not going to bind onto anything.
Oh, I guess
it's not the whole. It's only half of one exactly. So that's the way it is. Steel and Tussle seem to be on the same page here, consistently on the same side of the map. Tussle will find himself a control ward though.
Yeah, it's worth noting that
Sarah's thinking about defending it, but
it's worth noting that Steel hadn't reset until literally just then.
Yes.
And you don't want to walk up to that Nidalee when you do have the Aurelia in lane as well. Can have a flash stun, coming up flash anything. Looks like it's just Nidalee channeling the recall heal though. Hecarim just being seen there in the top side. Olivia was pinged out. Ward was cleared by Abby, it looks like.
I think just a bit of a smart roam there from Abby. He was like, just saw Tussle clearing out that pink ward. Just going to roam down in case they do look for something.
Some good poise there from Dasher, holding on to his nerve, not actually going for the cannon minion, knowing that someone could have roamed around. If you did go for a level 6 all in onto the zigzag, gang would have been there. Fighting the top lane, level 6 reached by the Wukong.
Flashing in. Hebby has got his way out there. He's using the warpath to try and find his way out. Aramik can't quite get it in range. Flash burnt to no avail.
He was looking so hard for that second knocker there. If that lands, good chance there's a kill coming through. Because obviously no flash ran by top lane Hecarim. Gang gonna get no stun here.
But there's a decent smoke screen, slows down Pooh, who's taking a lot of damage. But remember, he's still got the Haymaker. Grit's running out though, doesn't want to stop around to put that out. That'll be the Raptor steal over here, which is all these junglers really care about, I tell you.
Will it be that? Level 6 reached by Ebby now.
He's got Ignite. He's going to think about going in. Aramik is now in trouble. He's got the clone down. Can he find something? That's a good fear back. And now with the Ignite down, can he try and find his way out? I just don't think so. Now, first blood to Ebby. Again, a solo kill in lane for this top laner.
Say what you want about his last game. He did get solo kill then. He's starting off this game in a similar fashion. The horse comes up big. 1-0 on the Hecarim. First blood over to DFM.
It is first blood. Aramik, he was so close to getting something. He hit the level 6 first. He just... Problem is he didn't get that kill, right? No. Ebby gets level 6. He's got Ignite. He saved it. He's like, well, now, I think it's my turn to turn around knowing there is no option for you to get out of this. Tussle's got level 6 first. Steel hasn't quite got that mark yet, but is defending that control ward.
And the USG, ex-USG top laner, of course, Aramik, not managing to quite finish off that solo kill. The thing about solo kills is that you can get 90% of the way there, 99% of the way there. If you don't register it, there's no gold. There's nothing you really gain from that apart from a bit of pressure in lane. Ebby turns around with that level 6, gets that kill, and mops up the mess.
And another thing that Hecarim loves is early boots. It's really good defensive stats versus that Wukong in first place. It's actually a lot of extra damage for Hecarim as well. It's just a really great buy into this lane.
And you look at the amount of auto attackers on the side of the Hawks. You've got obviously the Wukong, and the armor will work against all of his abilities too. Aurelia, largely auto attacking, has a mixed damage as well. It's one of the reasons why Aurelia had the old Conqueror, which converted to true damage, meant that tanks just couldn't really do anything against it because you can't itemize very effectively against that passive and the Conqueror too. And of course, the Kaiser is massively auto attack based. Those Tabby are going to be hyper effective.
That's exactly how you put it. Hyper effective. But for now, we've got a little bit of a lull state. First Dragon didn't go the way of DFM. They did pop over the wall with that blast gun, but decided it's probably a little risky. Rift Herald has spawned now as well. Aramik's just wandering down, putting some wards around. But, well, we'll see how this wave evens out. But there's a bit of a CS lead here for Utapon. Flash in! Gonna try and find something. Pooh, it's actually pretty low here. There was the healing pack on the ground. And Tussle is here. And actually, Pooh has found Jack all as Utapon tries to go back in with the ultimate. Doesn't quite get it.
Okay, so that was trying to flash in to set up for a Nidalee Spear. Of course, Tussle made his way into that bot lane, but it doesn't land. And it's going to be a summon away from two summoners away, actually, and the heal away from Honey for just the ultimate of Utapon. That is not a worthwhile trade. Not that time.
Man, that was the healing pack on the ground reduced so much of the damage, and they just got to walk away.
I'm actually trying to think if Pooh actually denied that.
Might well have, either way.
Might have been an instant one put down by Gang. That move speed as well, very important picked up from those healing points that Bard can put around the map.
So, other thing to point out, we're seeing DFM move away towards this Rift Herald. It is up, but of course Honey is roamed up as well. If he goes in, he's finding his way onto 3 people. There's like, that might be a little bit much. He's going to use his Onslaught of Shadows to find his way across here. That is going to be the W hitting from Kai'Sa, but she won't bother using her ultimate. But that is that ult down for the Hecarim, and that's most of his team fighting ability. So I think actually that might allow for a Rift Herald start.
It's a later start. It's a later start. It's not the 8-minute one. It's only at about 10 minutes.
Trade it for
Still,
Dragon.
knowing that Ebby doesn't have the ult, we'll move towards this Cloud Drake. No Cloud sold this game. That's a good sign for the first people to stamp this Dragon, which will, of course, be DFM. So it's going to be a free trade. Well, not a free trade. Sorry. It's a good trade. That's the whole definition of it not being free. A Herald for a Dragon trade. Man, my words are just all over the place. You can tell the rust just being shaken off there. What this will mean, though, is a top turret under threat in this top side from Honey and Pooh.
It will be, of course, it's also worth pointing out that it's not going to be Senna in the bottom lane, which pushes towers oh so slowly, which led to a lot of the gold lead for Sengoku Gaming in the last game, who managed to get, 5 plates versus the 2 in the bot lane pretty much. Dasher goes in, forces the exhaust out of Seros, but actually that's just because Steel's coming in. Flash has now been burst by Dasher. He's gone super deep. We know what Dasher's like with his 1v1s that aren't 1v1s. Dies here to the graves. That's disappointing.
He tried to go for
damage.
Okay. That's the
ultimate my days. That is not a good look. There's now 0-3 for the Hawks in versus those kills. They will get first tower at least, but that's 2 kills on the solo laners in the matter of moments.
So close, and yet still so damn far. Aramik very close to making out the end of that bullet time, but he has to walk through the whole duration of it under the slow as well. It's your second death. Doesn't burn Cyclone at least. Didn't have flash available for that play as well. It's gold over to Utapon.
Yeah, I don't think Seros and Utapon will quite get this tower. Maybe they're going to try and tank it up. Satchel is there. I wondered whether they'll be able to get it down to kill threat, and they do. That's the pressure of an AD carry with the Ziggs. Trade tower for tower, and then you'll get all the plates with it as well. First tower does go the way of Hawks, but it's about a 2,000 gold lead to DFM.
The bonus is at least the Herald doesn't go over to DFM with the Ziggs.
Oh yeah,
Herald
we know what that does.
We talked about it so much when it first came into the meta. It's really powerful. You can get, at minimum 2 turret charges really, because you kill the first one with the satchel, get the ram into the second one, and you can return for that at a later time too.
I also want to point out, Seros has gone towards the double Doran's ring build again.
Yes, I think that's pretty usual for a lot of mages in the mid lane, particularly when you don't back with enough gold for a Lost Chapter. Plus, you're against an Aurelia who's trying to all-in you. The extra HP you get from the Dorans gives you a lot more safety in lane.
Yeah. Okay, posit me this. If Hecarim versus Aurelia is the matchup, where is that going to go? Is that a better matchup for the Hawks? Pooh's actually potentially looking for the Ebby here. Might have to burn his ultimate again, but no, he's managing to find his way away for now. There's the showstopper trying to get the stun. Don't quite hit it, and Ebby saves the ult, but it does mean that Poos is now burnt, and Steel is running after Aramik. And that's a good-tempered fate that forces the flash out of the Wukong.
So Wukong is not having the happiest time in a side lane. I do think that Aurelia, once she gets up towards that blade, will be winning these side lane matchups, especially into something like the Ziggs or if a Misfortune's out of position. But even the Hecarim, the blade does good work against him because you're stacking up on that phase. You do have a bit more of that HP, and that means that the blade does even more damage. So once he gets 1-2 items on the Aurelia, it gets pretty nice in the side lane.
And we're seeing, again, the split sides of the map. DFM will move towards the mid lane, though. It's just Honey there. He really doesn't want to stand versus all those people. Going to be another plate over, but little else for now for DFM. And they're going to flood their way back up the north end of the river. Aramik is around again, but he's going to be on a control ward. And Steel's around. Oh, there's Wukong. He's going to have to try and find his way out. There's a slow from the Make It Rain. There's the exhaust from this Bard. Aramik is trying to find something, but he has got nothing. The collateral damage puts the monkey in the ground. F's in chat for the Harambe.
Oh, dunk on the newbie seems like the plan is for DFM. Well, of course, he's not new. Aramik's been around for a while. Ebby now looking for a Nidalee in the river. Gets hit by a spear. That's pretty dangerous there. Ults away to stops the jumps forward. Yeah,
and Ebby's playing weak side Hecarim here, basically. He doesn't get to use his ultimate to be aggressive. It's not a 1v1 anymore. He's going to scout to try and find supports. He once again finds a Hawks member, but he can walk away.
The good thing about the Hecarim ult, though, is that it's like a lower cooldown flash, and you can't be interrupted during it. It's a very long distance.
No.
And unlike Aramik, who just doesn't have flash, it's going to be up that much more often. It means you don't die to some of those plays.
Yeah, exactly. There is something to that. And when the rest of your map is doing really well, they've got the mid lane turret as well. That's all outer turrets down. And Ziggs has got himself that mid lane turret. It's what he can do if he's left alone. This is a good start for DFM and looking a lot more like themselves in this game.
In some ways, yes. In a lot of ways. Some ways, a lot of ways, yes. All of my words are so good today.
Just making sure you got some caveats there. That's a lot of tower plays traded by both teams there.
It's a lot of turret plays. Of course, that doesn't factor in the first turret goal, which did go to the Hawks. they are still, 3,000 gold behind. When we talk about what is a good lead at 15 minutes, 2K is probably what I'd say is a decent lead.
Gang's got to be careful. He's going to find a lot of people. Just throw that
stun
cosmic binding, but the stun does miss, and that's pretty key. Worth pointing out, Ocean is about to spawn in 10 seconds. That will be our next point of conflict. Hawks have control of the river for now, though, and with Ebby not having his ultimate up, I wonder whether DFM actually want to fight this.
Well, they can still try and poke off the Hawks here, but I don't think they're even going to be posturing for that. Set playing the goalkeeper towards those bushes leading into the bottom river. It's going to be a quick secure from the Hawks. Once again, no early dragon stacking for an LJL team.
No early dragon stacking. That will allow Aramek to teleport to the bot lane, though. And I suppose if DFM... Sorry. Thank you. From the dragon in the bot side of the map, but actually, he responds to Lotto and tries a massive amount of damage. That's a 1v1 for the Misfortune versus the Aurelia. I didn't see that coming. He might try and turn it around onto Pooh here as well. Gets behind the Haymaker. This man can't be stopped. Can't quite get that. I think finally, Tussle just about Kelix it with a flash, but my days, Utapon.
And I was talking about, maybe Aurelia can go in on overextended Misfortune.
He's got the blade of the Ruin King!
Haha, no, Utapon does not accept this. He says, okay, fine, sure, you can try and come on to me. Interesting to see, Utapon's built up a Ninja Tabi. That's important. It means that there's a lot of resist to play with there on that Misfortune. Comes around with almost the huge 1v2, 1v3 even, all on his lonesome in that bot lane. Traded flash to Tussle. Tussle at least gets the kill. Yeah, and to
that's just amazing, right?
And Pooh. Pooh tried to flash in to cancel the bullet time. Doesn't do it in time.
3 flashes for
it is 3 flashes for both your summoners and your ult, and it's still 1-1. That is huge.
Oh, that is galling for the Aurelia.
And it's a double ult too. They use the Showstopper. They use the Vanguard's Edge. Yeah. That is a high efficiency play for one life of Utapon.
It is. I mean, the tower in the bot lane does finally go down. So that's something. But it came at a massively increased cost there. And Dasher, great mechanics on the Aurelia. We can see that he knows what he's doing on the champion. But
is that just because he cleared out a whole wave with Q? Because it looks really cool. It's not actually mechanically that intense. Just press Q a lot.
But there is something about Dasher's kind of propensity for picking fights he doesn't quite win. And he's just not reading his damage numbers quite right.
In fairness, in that 1v1 in the mid lane, that one was a bit of an overstep. Just you can't go for 1v1s not knowing where the Graves is, because Graves can turn around so much onto the Aurelia. You hit the snow extreme, that's slow, very important against that champion, because you can't start trying to kite out some of these abilities and then try and turn around for key resets. Didn't happen, went down. That one against Utapon, though, you don't normally expect the AD carry to just straight up 1v1 you.
Yeah, and that AD carry now has 2 items complete. That is the big...
It's going to get worse.
Second Rift Herald has been picked up for DFM while that bot lane player went on. That's a big tempered fate. In comes the backline of Ebby, but they don't care. They're just going to force out another flash from Honey. They will take that mid lane tier 2. They won't try for too much more with the rest of the team around. And Utapon wasn't even there, by the way. Now Tussle's got to try and find his way around. Remember, Dasher and Tussle don't have flash. And Ebby is here. He's got the onslaught of shadows if he needs it. I don't think they're even going to bother the minefields there. There comes the Vanguard's Edge. Has Ebby got a way out? He might need to try and find something. He's going to go down. That's pretty big use of the Cyclone. But actually, he's been traded around. Steel is turning around. We saw it in the last game what Graves can do in the back end of a fight. And this time, the Graves is there as well. 10-2 is the kill score. It's only 18 minutes in. It's nearly 19.
And
you'll
hear me say it many more times, but I talk about sticking the landing. That's a faceplant from the Hawks. They try to turn something out of nothing there. Tussle was caught off trying to flank alongside Dasher, but the big magical journey comes in from DFM, and the Shurelias catches out Tussle. It's a decent Vanguard's Edge, but there's a clutch exhaust to stop a lot of that damage output from the Aurelia, and Steel gets to turn around the fight. Utapon turns up, and Gang with that final flash forward secures the full team ace.
Yeah, I mean, that was without Utapon being there for a lot of that. That's a pretty big deal. Now there is a death cap on the Ziggs. Now there is, nearly a Black Cleaver on this 4-0 Graves. And while there is an Athene's in for this Nidalee, 1-1-1 is a significantly less flattering scoreline than the 4-0-0.
And you don't have the items on Dash yet to run over team fights, nor do I think you will do this game now. I think that at this point, you are against an AD carry who is equal level to you. You don't have a level advantage, which you normally have as a solo lane versus an AD carry. You expect a 1 to 2 level advantage. That's not going to happen. Your set is going to be paper to a lot of this team as well, and you have to be doing all of your damage within melee range against a Hecarim. If you dive into that, we'll see what happens. Even the Kai'Sa dives in, gets 1 kill, and immediately gets shut down. Look at that damage from Ziggs.
5,000 damage in a team fight before 20 minutes. Before 20 minutes. Boy.
It doesn't. I mean, it bears no answering, but Ziggs did more damage than the entire combined team of Hawks there.
That is actually kind of absurd. We know why Seros picks this champion. He's very experienced. There's a lot of, I don't know, just great play on it, but that is kind of why DFM love this champion. And the AI bot has thrown that graph well in favor of Detonation FocusMe. They'll pick up this third Drake. It is a Mountain Rift by the by, and that will get them to their second Drake.
Will do. So it is going to be, of course, that Mountain Rift. That's what we're on right now, and all of these resists are going to work in very well for this Hecarim. And it just means that the damage numbers which you need to get for the Hawks are getting increasingly larger. You're trying to dive in with this Kai'Sa, who has 2 items now. That's nice, but now you have to do that versus, 6% increased resist. That is pretty high, especially when you've got an armor stacking Hecarim. You got Tabi on the Misfortune as well. Yutapon finding his way down to the bottom lane, forcing out the clone of Adamic. This is probably going to be the tower going down. It's a lot of damage on these two.
Coming round. Maybe they're thinking about going for this, but it would be a bit risky, I feel. Here we go. Going to try and find something. Turret shot because of the rampage used by Ebby. That means that bot lane tier 2 does not quite go down. Hawk's going to push up to the top side, but Gang throws down the magical journey. It means Steel can get here with his end of the line, clears out the wave pretty swiftly.
And that will be all she wrote in that top lane. Magical Journey being used pretty well by Gang this game, honestly. I agree. I really loved that mid lane retreat, which did lead to that huge team fight ace earlier. Because you could see the Hawks were planning something. They were planning to have a flank from the Nidalee earlier, and they just changed where they were on the map very rapidly. And then when those two, the mid and jungle of the Hawks, were then caught out of position, the Shurelias sealed their fate.
Yeah, and there's a Shurelias and a Righteous Glory for a Hecarim, which sounds pretty monstrous in my opinion.
Because normally you go for something like a Starax, just a little bit more staying power, but you don't need that if you're so far ahead in this game. Yeah. And the damage is lacking from the side of the Hawks.
I concur, and I think actually just when you are the engage button really alongside the likes of the Bard, I can see why you do want to index into a little bit more move speed to give you that space. Graves needs to be a bit careful though. He's going to find a lot of people flashes out, but Pooh can't quite find the flash face breaker. He's going to try and find his way out. That's good collateral damage. The turnaround now. It happened the last time. It's a good tempered fate. Dasher and Pooh, they're going to throw the bullet time down just to make sure there's no way out. Dasher is dead. Pooh throws out a haymaker, but that's all he's going to be doing is sleeping with the daisies. Tussle and Aramik desperately running away. The cat and the monkey trying to find set refuge in the jungle, but it's going to be man's great power, the fire coming through from Ebby there, and it will be the Baron start from DFM. It's 3 for none. There's no jungler. There's no smite. This is going to be a Baron for Detonation FocusMe.
The Hawks really don't like this version of the Jungle Book. They want the other one back. That was more happy than this. Huge fight for DFM. Honestly, I thought they'd be waiting for a dragon. Thought they'd be waiting for something else. But the slip-up comes through. Huge overcommit from the Hawks, and they cannot even finish up Steel. We see this. He's clearing out vision.
What is it with Graves and escaping, man?
Okay, so let's see what happens here. So the Flash Phase Breaker is not the first thing to come through. He procs the Phase Rush, and that gives him enough move speed to walk out of the Flawless Duet from the Aurelia. Zigzag comes in, Bullet Time comes in. That's all she wrote.
Yeah. Blank, now Steel. You can't catch this. There are some fancy dancing shoes on Graves these last couple of games.
I love how Ivy plays this too. He makes sure he saves his ult to cross that next wall as the leap comes in. Sorry, the Pounce. That's the one. Comes in. Leap is Karzak's, I believe. Pounce comes in from the Nidalee and just finishes them off. Gets them a free Baron. On 5 members too. That's a 5-man Baron, and they're already 10k up in this game. This seals the game for me. Legit, how do you come back from this kind of advantage? You're looking for a miracle engage, a pick with a Kai'Sa coming through. And that is looking increasingly more difficult because of the dragons coming in.
No.
Even Bard is bullying out the Wukong. That's a little sad.
0, 4, and 1 is the Wukong.
Okay.
Ebby is going to have a bit of a collapse here. Tussle's trying to find his way around, but he's on vision now, and Ebby does not get stunned, and it's got
He's too fast!
Righteous glory. Deja vu. I've been in this place before. There is definitely some initial de-drifting going on, and Honey has been caught by the Tempered Fate. The Minefields comes down. He flashes out and survives the collateral damage, but now Aramic just takes most of his health bar there in trade. The Redemption will come out to heal Gang up for pretty much all of his health bar, the Magical Journey, to allow themselves around the back of the minion wave. The tower in bot lane goes down. The mid lane inhibitor is already dead, and Hawks are desperately trying to find something. Anything.
And the worst thing about this is that every time one of these skill shots lands from DFM, it's forcing something that the Hawks really need to try and win a fight. It forced out the flash from the Kai'Sa. Maybe that would have been used for a finishing auto. Now Pooh's been caught as well. Everything is so difficult.
That was a good heal there from Tussle. The Athene's giving a little bit of health at the end of that, but that was getting risky. Guess what item Misfortune's going towards as well? I feel like this item might be a little overtuned right now.
We've seen it before. It's the stance, maybe.
I think it might be. Maybe no, it's a Locket of the Iron Solari. That's what he's going towards. He's just split his item builder. Team player, that's it. It's a great build of Misfortune, by the way, guys. Totally recommend that.
I don't do that in my solo queue. I will report.
Yeah, don't do it. Do it if you're on the enemy team.
Hex Flash coming in. Spear lands on Saros and leads to nothing so far.
Indeed. And well, we've got not a lot of options left for the Hawks. They've got maybe a team fight left in them. There's a Baron fight here. They're 70 seconds. Aramic is going in. He's got the double knock up. Aramic takes so damn low. He has to flash straight back out. Ebby goes in and gets the kill on the monkey. He goes golden. The bullet time is there. And the time is now for DetonatioN FocusMe to look and end the game. The Righteous Glory sticks that horse up to race car levels. And it might not be the Grand National, but they're looking to speedrun this game in 27 minutes flat.
And in that fight, again, everything was used from the Hawks. The exhaust comes through to save Saros. No damage remaining from Honey.
Days. Bar damage as well. Misfortune picks up the double on the fountain. Chimera. It's going to be the game for DetonatioN FocusMe.
And this is what we wanted to see out of DFM last game. And the result did not come through then, but it has come through now. Evening up their week 1 to 1-1 at DFM. We're going to take a quick break, gather our thoughts once more, and join you for a quick after game thoughts, post game thoughts. Don't go anywhere.
Brisk, chilling air is calling, and out there we're free to run and jump and live so wildly. Head first we'll go tumbling through places unknown, with nothing but the stars to light our way. And though the sun may set at night, tomorrow looks so bright, 'cause home is when you're by my side, no matter what.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to the LJL Officially Unofficial. We're going to be recapping the series, well, not the series, the game of TFM facing off against the Hawks. And, well, DFM were angry. We said what happens when DFM get angry. You won't like them when they're angry. And, well, Ebby on that Hecarim was really not happy in that top lane and wanted that win for sure. Gentlemen, let's talk about that top lane and how good Ebby looked in that game. Go on, Initialize. You did that big happy sigh.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the one game of Hecarim in the fifth game, in game 5, which we kind of started the day with. Looked okay, but didn't really get anything done. This time, Ebby picks up a solo kill on the Wukong. He survives on the weak side of the map. They cannot get a hold of him. And then it hits the team fights when he's got the Righteous Glory. He just runs people down as the Hawks are trying to get out, and they just couldn't get away fast enough.
No, he had no opportunity. And then on the opposite side of that top lane was Aramik, debut performance for the Hawks. Oh, it didn't go well, did it, Nightmare?
Nope. As much as you like to rely on past synergies from USG and Aramik, Tussle and Dash all being from that team, Aramik missed out on that solo kill on Ebby when he hit level 6 before the Hecarim did. And missing out on that meant that he was solo killed later. And then that
about a minute later, I think.
It was the start of the anti-snowball. Very close after that. It was fine margins, but those fine margins always went against Aramik. He just didn't quite know his distances, didn't quite know his safe margins, and he got punished a lot.
Yes, was heavily punished. Vision control was not his strongest suit and was repeatedly dived by Steel and Ebby and put really far into the ground. Doesn't quite know the Apperman strategy of going 0-3-1 and then winning the game. He hasn't quite figured that out. It was against DFM and Ebby, so clearly maybe take notes from Apperman, because Apperman things seem to be rather good at the moment, if I do.
But all your stocks there.
Oh yeah, all your stocks in Apperman.
My jury is still out on him. Like, sometimes he's brilliant, and sometimes he makes you go, why?
He's clearly 5-heading over here, like Omega Brain all over it. Gentlemen, let's transition a little bit over and let's talk about this mid lane and this Syros and Dasha matchup. Who wants to talk about Syros and who wants to talk about Dasha?
Oh, I kind of want to talk about Dasha.
I'll take Syros then.
Okay. Syros first.
Let's talk a little bit about why Syros picked Ziggs, and it will be a team fight where he did 5,000 damage at 18 minutes into the game.
It's pretty good.
That is absurd. That's really damn good.
Those are late game numbers.
Yeah, and his accuracy on skill shots, the way he teams up with the rest of his squad, his timings on his Mega Inferno bombs, alongside things like the bullet time, just look really clean. And the fact that he gets a lot of turret pressure and knows how to play the map really well, he's quite a smart player and that helps with the team around him. It's just really good. Turret destruction, team fight damage, and he stayed safe versus Dash's hyper aggression.
Yeah, we did see him do a lot of in and out plays, get them bot lane turrets as well. Very aggressive with those pushes. Definitely was around the map a lot and, as you said, abused that global ultimate when he was able to outdamage the whole team of the Hawks. Part of that was just due to the ultimate coming down on, I believe, Aramik and Pooh, basically taking half. I think Pooh lost most of his health bar in just the ultimate, and then that's how it ended. Let's look on the other flip side, though, of that mid lane matchup. And Nightmare, what's your thoughts on Dasha's performance in the mid lane?
Honestly, his laning phase was all right. He stayed up in CS. He played quite well in terms of playing safely at some points in the game. But there's just this limit where you can kind of feel his patience fraying. He looks to do all in, and it's not wise. And honestly, I think that's how I'd describe the Hawks as a whole team. They're just not patient. They're not looking for, or rather, they never find that time. They never work their way into a position for that perfect engage. And that's the whole point about this comp. You have to have that engage, and it has to go well. Otherwise, you have 5,000 damage Ziggs. And Dasha, we saw that with that all-in where he queues forward, doesn't get the reset, still runs him down. That's it.
Yeah. That happened in the mid lane. There was the bot lane one as well. Utapon beat the Aurelia in a 1 versus 3. That should not happen.
That was very messy, and I'm still not quite sure how it happened. I think lots of buttons weren't pressed, and also Dasha just wasn't quite aware how strong Utapon was, really, right, guys?
I mean, Utapon had Ninja Tabi. That helped quite a bit. Actually, quite a big thing.
True.
And the bullet time. That's a lot of damage.
Yeah, yes, that is an ultimate. I mean, granted, Honey the Hawks AD carry could tell Dasher, maybe not a best idea, mate. If I was 1v1 you, I'd probably win right now, so... Miscommunication, maybe. But the Hawks will have an opportunity to redeem themselves in our final game. Also versus a team who would also like to pick up a win and kind of redeem themselves. That's going to be our final matchup of Rascal Jester facing off against the Hawks. That is the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks Gaming. We're going to go on a short break, but we'll be right back with the last game and more LJL action. See you very, very soon.